Before cities with walls, before crowned kings and organized armies, there was the cold. A cold that did not negotiate. A cold that decided who continued to exist and who vanished without leaving traces. In that ancient world shaped by ice, wind, and scarcity, life was not a right. It was a daily dispute. And among all the creatures that learned to endure, wolves did not merely survive. They sustained an invisible balance that allowed other forms of life to exist, including the human one. The landscape was vast and hostile. Frozen plains, dense forests buried under snow, silent mountains where sound was swallowed by the wind. The seasons were not predictable. Winters stretched for years. Summers were short, unstable, insufficient. The first human communities did not yet dominate the environment. They lived at its margins. They hunted when they could. They migrated when forced. And they shared this territory with a predator that understood the rhythm of the land long before any written language. The wolf was already there. It was never a solitary animal. Its strength did not come only from teeth or speed, but from an invisible structure that kept it alive. The pack, a silent, efficient organization shaped by extreme necessity. Each individual had a clear function, not because of symbolic hierarchy, but because of practical survival. In a world where mistakes meant death, there was no room for improvisation. Wolves followed the great herds, reindeer, bison, wild horses. Where food moved, they moved. This constant displacement traced invisible maps across the ice. Paths repeated generation after generation. When hunting, they did not seek merely to kill. They selected, they observed, they waited, they attacked the weak, the sick, the delayed, not out of cruelty, but efficiency. And by doing so, they shaped the balance of that world itself. The presence of the wolf kept herds moving, prevented the exhaustion of pastures, stopped overpopulation. Where wolves vanished, the land sickened. Vegetation was consumed down to the root. The soil became sterile. The ice advanced faster. But in that ancient time, this relationship was not understood, only felt. The wolf's day began before light. The cold made the air heavy. Breath emerged in short, controlled clouds. The body was built for this. Thick fur, resilient muscles, paws that sank little into snow. They traveled long distances without any guarantee of success. Many hunts ended without food. Still, they continued. Repetition was the only certainty. The sound of the hunt was not chaotic. It was restrained. Synchronized steps, quick glances, a tense silence before the advance. When the attack came, it was brief, violent, decisive. Every movement saved energy. Every mistake was costly. A misplaced kick, a miscalculated horn, a broken bone. An injured wolf rarely survived the following winter. As years passed, bodies carried marks, worn teeth, deep scars, stiff paws from constant ice. Wear was not the exception. It was the rule. Still, the pack continued to function. The young learned by watching. The older slowed down, but still guided. Nothing was wasted, not even the experience of those who no longer ran as before. Meanwhile, humans watched from a distance, first as rivals, then as involuntary students. The way wolves hunted, how they surrounded, how they selected targets. Many human hunting strategies were born from this silent observation. But in that ancient world, the relationship was still fragile. Direct competition, the same food, the same cold, the same risk. When prey grew scarce, hunger shaped decisions. Wolves approached human camps, not from boldness, but desperation, scraps, bones, anything that extended life by one more day. Some humans died, some wolves too. Conflict was inevitable, and yet the wolf remained, adapted, withdrew, returned. If a pack vanished, the impact was immediate. Prey multiplied without control, consumed beyond limits, migrated less. The land entered silent collapse. Humans, unable to see the cause, felt the effect. Longer hunts, scarcer food, prolonged hunger, forced migrations. The absence of the wolf broke something essential, even if invisible. There were times when ice advanced too fast. Prey vanished for months. Entire packs disappeared, bones buried under layers of snow. No song, no record, only the void left by those who sustained balance. Along with them, human communities vanished too. Not because wolves protected them directly, but because wolves kept the world functioning. Time passed. The ice retreated in some places. In others, it never left. Civilizations advanced. They learned to domesticate, to fence, to control. But wolves remained as living memory of a more ancient world. A world where survival required absolute cooperation with nature, not domination. Today, when we look at frozen remains, fossilized tracks, bones marked by time, it becomes possible to understand what was never written. Wolves were not merely predators fighting for their own lives. They were silent pillars of an entire system. They sustained the balance that allowed everything else to exist. Without them, that world of ice and hunger would have collapsed long before. And yet, almost no one remembers this. Forgetting came slowly, not as an event, but as a habit. As ice retreated and landscapes changed, wolves ceased to be seen as part of balance and became obstacles. Collective memory no longer recalled the time when life depended on them. Only fear remained. But in that ancient world, governed by scarcity, the wolf was never excess. It was measure. Where it appeared, the land breathed. Where it vanished, something broke. The cold remained relentless, but a silent order prevented total collapse. That order did not come from human laws, nor rituals, nor kings. It came from repeated steps in the snow, precise hunts, necessary death. The wolves' fight for life was not heroic. It sought no glory. It was raw, mechanical, inevitable. Each winter was a test. Each surviving pup carried forward an ancient knowledge too old for words. A knowledge etched into the body, into instinct, into the pack's collective memory. When ice arrived earlier, wolves adjusted routes. When prey declined, they expanded territory. When a leader fell, another assumed without ceremony. There was no prolonged mourning. Time did not allow it. Life continued because it had to. This constant adaptation kept the world moving. Human civilizations would learn this too late. They would attempt to control nature with walls, weapons, and domestication. They would forget that for thousands of years, they controlled nothing. They merely survived alongside forces they never fully understood. The wolf was one of them. Even today, remnants of that ancient world persist, in regions where cold still rules, where silence weighs, where the howl crosses the night without permission. There, ancient logic still functions. The presence of the wolf still organizes chaos, still defines who lives, who migrates, who disappears. In the distant past, dominated by ice and hunger, wolves did not fight only for their own existence. They fought, unknowingly, for the continuity of an entire world. A fragile world, unstable, dependent on a predator that never asked for recognition. Without them, that world would not have endured, and history moved forward, pretending it never needed them. And so the wolf's trail was slowly covered by time, layers of ice, layers of earth, layers of human narrative that always placed man at the center. The animal became shadow, the function became legend, balance became coincidence. But in the ancient world, nothing was coincidence. Every absence carried weight. Every disappearance created a measurable void. When wolves vanished from a territory, silence changed. Not just the absence of the howl, but the alteration of rhythm. Prey stopped migrating. Snow was trampled in the same places. Soil wore out faster. Plants failed to recover. The cold seemed to last longer. Humans felt this without understanding. Hunts grew longer, food rarer, children weaker, migrations more frequent. And still, the cause remained invisible, because the wolf was never seen as support, only as immediate threat. The obvious danger overshadowed the deeper effect. In that world of ice and hunger, survival was never individual. No species survived alone. Wolves understood this. That is why they hunted together, slept together, died together when necessary. The pack was not affection, it was strategy. A system refined by the brutal repetition of winters. Each generation inherited territory shaped by decisions of the previous one. Paths opened, routes abandoned, places where hunts always failed, places where risk was lower. None of this was written. All of it was remembered by the body in motion. When age arrived, pace slowed. The older wolf led not by strength, but by silent knowledge of terrain. It knew when to advance, when to wait, when to retreat. And when it fell, it left no monument, only space for the next to assume. This lack of record is what makes the wolf so easy to erase from history. It built no temples, left no tools, raised no cities. It only kept the world functional long enough for others to do so. Ice retreated, forests advanced, civilizations grew, and the wolf's role was pushed to the margins, first as enemy, then as symbol, finally as myth. But the system it sustained did not disappear. It merely became unstable. Whenever the wolf was removed, the world reacted. Slowly, inevitably, as if something essential had been pulled from an ancient mechanism too old to be repaired quickly. In the deep past, governed by scarcity, wolves did not defeat the cold, nor conquer hunger. They learned to exist within it, and by doing so, allowed others to exist as well. This is the part history rarely tells. There was no heroism. There was no choice, only continuous adaptation. Step by step, winter after winter. Without wolves, that ancient world would have collapsed in silence. And perhaps it did, many times, when they disappeared. But ice records no culprits. Hunger writes no memories. and the wolf never asked to be remembered.